Hi there everyone, my name's Dave West. I hope we're all doing well. So back with another video test with the OnePlus Nord, and today I'm checking out Filmic Pro. This is a highly requested video from viewers, and I thought it's well worth just putting this quick video together to show you how it looks. There's a few things I do need to make you aware of, and this is a fault I think on OnePlus's part and not Filmic Pro. So the first thing is that you don't get all of the resolutions you would expect. So the front-facing camera can only do a max of 3K at 30 frames per second. Yes, that sounds a bit odd, but that's all the sensor readout is given to the Filmic software. And also as well with the rear cameras, you can't record with the ultra-wide, and you can only record at a maximum of 4K at 30 frames per second with the main rear camera. So you can still get really good quality video, but there's a few things which aren't available, just so you're aware. Now they may become available later on, but I'm just making you aware from the outset of the video so you're not too disappointed later on if you're expecting to see those features. Now the benefit of using Filmic Pro is you get much greater control over the actual image. So you can't see it, but with Filmic Pro you get an exposure tool, and you also get a focus reticle. Now that doesn't work with the front-facing camera because obviously it's fixed focus. But with the exposure tool, that means I can actually just keep the focus on my face, but if I move it around, and then it puts priority on different areas of the image. So I'll just keep it on my face for the time being. Now you also get access to things like the cinematographer kit as well. Now that allows you to change the color profiles when you're recording video. At the moment I'm recording, so I can't actually do it while it's going live. But if I stop the video and then restart, this is the dynamic picture setting. And again, this obviously gives you slightly punchier colors and overall look in the video. Now, this is with the auto white balance switched on as well. So again, it keeps everything nice and even and doesn't add any kind of weird tints to the overall image. Now, this is also recording in the Filmic Extreme setting. So it's good that the OnePlus Nord can actually handle that, because some smartphones just can't handle it. Alright, so this is in the flat color profile. Now, I've used the settings now to try and keep the clouds in check, so make sure they're always evenly exposed. Lifted up the shadows as well, so you can see a bit more of my face. For that, I apologise. So when you actually use the manual settings, they're locked. So the good thing is that you don't get that kind of auto exposure where sometimes it goes a bit light and dark depending on where you move the camera. Sometimes small micro movements can mean that you kind of blow out clouds and your face is exposed, and then it's the other way around. So it's just to give you an example of how it looks when you use those particular settings. Now, the cinematographer kit is like an extra, what, £10–15, so you'll have to kind of weigh up whether you're going to use Filmic Pro enough to justify its investment. However, the option is there, and I just wanted to show you it in this video so you can get an idea of how it all looks. Alright, so this is 1080p at 30 frames per second from the rear camera. I just thought I'd start with this kind of baseline resolution and frame rate. Now, as I said, you can only use the main wide lens. You can't use the ultra-wide camera, and you can't do anything like 60 frames per second even at 1080p. So I think there's a little bit of work to do from OnePlus in making this more compatible with this really good application tool, in my opinion. Now, with the main rear camera, you can use optical image stabilization if you wish. I'm using my gimbal for this video because it helps to keep things a bit smoother. I'm sure you don't want to see like loads of bumpy footsteps even with the optical stabilization. But this is with the exposure and the focus locked, but I can then turn those off, and then I can move the exposure around the screen, and it sort of puts priority on those areas of the screen if you can see that moving. What I can also do is use the manual function, and we can see I can sort of make just blow out the image completely, or I can then just even things out so everything is in check. Now sometimes it leads to an uneven looking image, but the tools are there to help you get the most out of how the image looks. You can adjust things like the color temperature, as you can see there. You can use auto white balance, and then if you find the white area of the image and then you hold on to the auto white balance button, it turns it red, and then that locks the white balance for the entirety of the recording, which is great. We've then got different lighting modes for different scenarios. You've got indoor lighting, cloudy day, sunny day, and also things like night as well. And then you've got these presets A and B, which you can use as you wish. So I'm just going to leave it on auto white balance, just going to adjust that color temperature slightly, just back to where it was. What we can also do as well is use focus peaking. Now what this allows you to do is make sure all of the scene is in focus, or you can actually use it to make sure objects closer up are in focus instead, and you can see that it locks it like that rather than uses the autofocus function. Now the good thing is as well, it uses focus peaking, and that puts like a green outline over subjects, which allows you to get the pinpoint focus that you need throughout the entirety of your recording. Now if you want to see this in more detail, I did do this last year with the Huawei P30 Pro, and not much has changed in the way that the functions work, so I'll leave a card up on the screen and you can go and check that out for yourself when you've got a little bit more time and see what it's all about. So what you need to do then is just move the focus away. If you tap the middle of the screen, and then the focus reticle then will then just focus the entire image, and as well as the exposure, which is now in auto, and you can see everything looks nice and even. Alright, so this then is the maximum resolution that you can use on OnePlus Nord with Filmic Pro, and that is 4K at 30 frames per second. So once again, this is in the extreme setting, so it aims for around about 100 megabits per second video recording, which I'm glad to see the 765G can handle. And I've selected the dynamic color profile, but I've increased the shadows so we're exposing a little bit more of the ground in front of us, and also just trimmed off the highlights as well, so we just get a balanced image overall. You can see that like nothing is really changing as I move around, so even if I kind of wave my hand in front of the phone, just the focus will do that, but the actual overall exposure of the image remains unchanged, which is great if you're really serious about videography. You don't want the whole scene becoming blown out just because someone walks in front of the camera. So alright, so this is 4K at 30 frames per second then in the flat profile. Now you can also use log V2. These two are very similar. If you read the manual for Filmic Pro, it will even say the same. Log V2 is for very experienced colorists stroke video editors who want to squeeze that extra bit of life out of their footage. But with the flat color profile, this still allows you to make some adjustments to color, shadows, highlights, and the gamma and things like that of the image in your chosen editing tool. But I think this is like squeezing the very last amount of goodness from the OnePlus Nord's processing in getting you some really excellent looking mobile footage. Now you can use the zoom function with this. Now don't forget, this is digital zoom, so if I just move the image down just a bit, now you can get so far and still get good imagery, and the green bar in the zoom slider will basically signify that green is good, whereas you move it up, the bar then starts to turn amber, and that means that you're losing detail, and eventually into the red zone, whereby images becomes a little bit soft. But I think that's still quite acceptable in all fairness. I mean, it's not bad, but you couldn't really say that's fully usable for like a finished project. You can see the resolution and the jagged lines exactly in the middle of the image there, where that porch kind of got jagged lines on its roof. But if we come right back out, this is probably the best way to use it. Alright, so that's the end of this look at Filmic Pro on the OnePlus Nord. Hope for those of you who have been asking for this is what you were looking for. I apologise on OnePlus' behalf that there's not all of the features available for you to see, but hopefully that's something that they can do at a later date, because I really think this is an excellent video tool and the OnePlus handsets would really benefit from it, because being able to use the ultra-wide lens and also the additional cameras on the front would really help, I think, if you're really serious about mobile video making. So if you've got any questions or comments about anything you've seen in the video, then please leave those down below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And don't forget, if you're new around here, then please don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss more videos coming like this on the channel very, very soon. But for now, this has been my look at Filmic Pro on the OnePlus Nord. My name's Dave West, and I'll catch you guys later.